Hi, I'm Ben Hart. I'm a filmmaker and musician. You can find me on YouTube at Ben Productions. I'm on Instagram at benhart_mp4 and Twitter at bhart_mp4. It's a great question. Huh. A couple people come to mind. There's an actor named Daveed Diggs. He is in Hamilton, and he's also in a rap group called Clipping. But he's a great rapper, and I would love to have him in musical of mine because he can really nail a cadence, and he's a good storyteller. Um, Also, the director Paul Thomas Anderson, because he's responsible for some of my favorite movies of like the modern era. Um, I would love to just be around him on a set or during the filmmaking process. I feel like I could learn so much from him. Um, and hmm,
Is there something specific you would want to ask him?
no, I would just like to be around him and roll with the
Just
punches.
just kind of like intern and kind of absorb everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
shadow him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of an actor who I really love the voice of. Willem Dafoe comes to mind.
Mhm.
Uh, Gilbert Gottfried. I would love to
Oh
have him in music.
wow! Really? He had his
Yeah.
voice. His voice is so distinct, very distinct.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Him speaking in rhythm would be amazing. That'd
Yeah,
be great.
I think so. And he's a comedian as well. Yeah, absolutely, man. I think the two of you could come up with some great stuff. Have you in your mind? Do you have in your mind? Do you have a scenario where you have like, oh man, I think this particular actor would be great for what I've just written down or what I've just kind of come up with in my head?
It's a good question, but no, nothing comes to mind. I don't think of a big celebrity in any of my movies. For the longest time, I thought I was going to be the marriage counselor, but
Oh wow.
my teacher talked me out of it because I'm too young. Um, Maybe because I don't plan on leaving the film industry like ever. So maybe when I'm like 40 or 50, I'll have aged enough to play the marriage counselor. Um, so we'll see. I appreciate that, and yeah, I believe that too. I do think I can make it. I just tweeted yesterday. Uh, I, I don't tweet often, but I tweeted, in order to make it, you have to be outstandingly good, and I'm trying to be there. I do think I stand out. So if that's what it means to be outstanding, then yeah,
Absolutely. The other one I heard is in order to stand out, you have to create something that's remarkable in the sense that you have created something that's worthy of remark.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think marriage counselor does that. I think people want to share it with people, and people want to watch it again. I do. That was my thesis project, and we've been working on it the whole quarter, and my class like still loves it, watching it as it evolves, as I make additions to the music or to the dialogue. We've been recording the ADR, and seeing it evolve has been a really beautiful process. And yeah, I mean, I don't get the sense that they're not having fun watching it. I do think it's very, very enjoyable.
Well, is that important to you that when people see your work that they are having fun?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me, I guess like the origin story of marriage counseling.
Okay. I'm glad you asked. It was high school. I was 17 years old, and I was in a study hall. The teacher who was in charge of the study hall was a really huge fan of music, and we talked about music all the time. And one day I was on my iPad making music on GarageBand, and the idea came to my mind: rap and marriage counselor, put them together, and it would be amazing. And since that day, I because I knew it hadn't existed yet, it became my goal to make it. Like, a rapping marriage counselor is a beautiful idea. If someone did it, I would love it, and I'm sure I wouldn't be alone in loving it. So that's where it came from. It's just this. I don't know. I think it was because I was in that environment and I'm thinking about like the future generations of music, what hasn't happened yet, what would be great. Um, and yeah, that idea came to me. I've stuck with it since. It's been 5 years and it's still great.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your are you a fan of rap?
Oh yeah, yeah, very much, very
S-
very much.
So who's in your I'll give you a little bit of leeway because most people say top five, but I'll say top 10-ish, top five-ish. Tell me some people you listen to.
Thank you for the leeway. It's hard to pick favorites, but MF Doom's a really huge one. His witty rhymes are spectacular.
Yeah, R.I.P. to
Kendrick
him. Yeah,
Lamar's great. Yeah, rest in
yeah,
peace. It feels
yeah,
bad. Kendrick has a really good voice, and his beat choices are great. His lyricism his storytelling ability is admirable. Um, who else do I love? There's a rapper named Billy Woods who has a really out there voice. He always sounds really angry, but it's so entertaining to listen to.
okay.
Who else do I love? Tyler the Creator was a really early on inspiration for me.
Hmm.
Um, After exploring his albums, I knew I wanted the same thing. I wanted my own discography. And yeah, looking at a wall of songs on a track list and knowing like that's his, and I was like, I want that too. I want my own wall of music.
Yeah, yeah. What's the end goal for you, man? Like in your journey, like you just started, so where do you want to be at when it's all said and done?
I I drew a picture one time. I don't have it ready, but it's me sitting in a chair, and behind me are these tall shelves full of my artwork. Um, I guess my end goal is to have like my own library of artwork, to have enough artwork to make a library or maybe a museum out of, um, to have that large of a career. Um, but specifically to Marriage Counselor, I always thought it deserved its own album, uh, and have it be a conceptual album from start to finish. Like the story is there throughout the whole thing. That's a big goal of mine, and my thesis project is sort of a proof of concept that a rapping marriage counselor is great.
Yeah. Did now was it hard for you to get the actors to buy into marriage counselor?
um, well, I had "I Wanna Fly," my first musical, to show for, and that helped a lot, showing them that like I'm capable of making a good musical. And the script was great too, for Marriage Counselor. I didn't really experience much like struggle. I think a lot of people had that same epiphany moment. Like when I first hatched the idea of a rapping marriage counselor, people were like, that is really weird, but it's cool.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and they
Yeah.
were on board.
What are you influenced by?
Hmm. Romantic movies really make me feel better than any other movie. If I can fall in love with like a character relationship, that's like the most beautiful thing I can experience in film. That's the best thing I've seen in film yet. I can enjoy most movies for one reason or another, but yeah, the movies that I value the most are romantic ones.
Okay.
And strictly romantic. Like rom-coms, I, I I want like real love. I mean, I can get that from rom-coms, but ones that are not supposed to have some sort of comedic relief like all the time and have this happy ever after ending.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I like the romance movies that end poorly, where things don't work out. Like they both love each other, but it just can't work out. It just tears me apart. Um, but yeah, romance movies are my biggest inspiration. I hope to invoke those same emotions in my audience.
When you're watching a movie, are you watching it from a technical standpoint? Or are you still being a fan?
I try and do both. I have this ritual when I watch a movie. I have to watch it at night, so it simulates a theater experience, and I have to watch it from start to finish.
Okay.
Um, and sometimes when I see something in the movie that I really, really love, I'll rewind it a bit and record it on my phone, So I guess from a technical standpoint, I do that. But yeah, I still watch it as a fan. I'm still experiencing the film. Yeah, yeah. Does that answer your question? I
Oh
don't
no,
know.
I'm absolutely. I think it's kind of tough not to watch as a fan sometimes, right? Right.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's easy to kind of get, especially for movies that you love, it's kind of easy to get kind of lost in the character. And then at that point you become a fan. Like you kind of start to ignore uh, just different little goofy, odd things that we kind of ignore if we don't like the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do you have favorite actors as well?
I love Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, he's
Um,
good.
yeah. Hmm. Other actors I love. Willem Dafoe. His face is just, I don't know, something about it's really weird, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Um, Other actors I love. Those are the two that come to mind. Oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I don't think I've
Yeah.
seen
Oh,
him.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's pretty good. Where do you think Hollywood is now? Like, do you think Hollywood's in a good place, or are they making trash movies, or
I Yeah, there's definitely a big part that's just making cash grabs. Like, I think Disney and Pixar are kind of falling into that, unfortunately. Like, I thought The Incredibles 2 was just a cash grab, didn't really feel good to me.
yeah, it didn't meet up
And
to the hype? Yeah.
yeah, and Finding Dory, maybe even Toy Story 4 a bit. Um, and Star Wars is getting beaten to death. Uh, I can't really speak on that because I've only seen the first two. Um, but just from people I know who love Star Wars, they say like that the franchise has just been hurting them because of like how much it's changed in like a bad way.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think there's a lot of creative people in the industry still. I think A24 is a good example of
Yeah.
not like non-franchise type films that are being unique and creative and pushing the boundaries of the medium.
Now, do you watch those platforms, right? Like you do have a Netflix account or stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I can't tell you how many hours I've put into YouTube, like
Yeah, absolutely.
over the course of my whole life. Oh my, I can't thousands of hours of
Yeah.
watching YouTube.
Yeah. So what was it like filming Marriage Counselor? Like give me the gist of like how did you feel when you first started? Was it daunting? Did you feel like you had everything under control?
I felt like I had everything under control, but at the cost of my sleep. Um, the the night before the shoot, I was up all night getting the storyboard ready. I wanted to print one out so that I could show everybody on the crew and cast like the shots we were getting, so we're all on the same page, like literally. So I took those pictures with my mom as a stand-in. Then I printed them. I had to put them on a slideshow and then print them. But then night two, after we shot day one's footage, I cut it into a rough cut. Um, my teacher told me that sometimes people do that, like on TV show sets, like like before they're done shooting, it's already being edited, and I thought that was like great because the next day you can maybe see if something was missing or something was done wrong, and then you can reshoot it while the production's still happening. So I stayed up all night that night too, cutting it together, and then I had to redo the storyboard a little bit because we had to reshoot things, and I think a couple shots got added. Um, and day two, I missed a few things because of my lack of sleep. Um, there was one shot where the actor turned early in his chair, like it's in the very beginning when he's giving his intro, and then eventually he turns and faces the room. But then day two, we shot that same scene, but he turned like way earlier towards the
Okay.
camera. I
Mhm.
noticed it, but I didn't call it out, and I think it was because of my lack of sleep. I just didn't want to interrupt anything.
Yeah.
It was a bad move on my part, and I wish I could like time travel back and just be like, tell him to turn later. Like I wish I could, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
also too, when you're creative and you create art, there's also not so much rejection, but there's also the component that people may not like what you've created. And so you also have to be vulnerable from that perspective as well.
true. Um, yeah, but one of my teachers said something that stuck with me. If something can be loved, it must also be able to be hated. Um,
That's right.
so yeah,
That's right.
I'm okay with if people can hate it, then I guess that means it can also be loved. So I'm grateful for that.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's a interesting twist on it. That if people can hate it, then also that means people can love it. So I mean, because I think most artists are we're very shy about about our work and about ourselves, and we're human, and so but we all I think, and I don't know if you can share with me or whether or not this is true for you, but like I want people to like what I do. So when I put out a podcast, when I post it on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, I want people to like it. Like I'm vulnerable. I don't necessarily know how I handle people saying, "Oh, this was trash or this was garbage."
Huh. Um, yeah, I'm vulnerable in that sense too. It does hurt when people say they don't like something, but I mean, it helps when they give a reason why they don't like it. Um, if they're just saying I hate it, period. But if somebody says something like I hate the drums at blank point, they were too loud. I could see where they're coming from.
Hmm.
And maybe I'll agree with them and keep that in mind for the future.
Hmm.
Huh. Uh yeah, I mean, I feel like it's inevitable that you'll run into a troll who's just trying to shit on your success. I feel like that's most people when they're like 13.
Hmm.
Um, but once people get older, hopefully, in theory, they become more intelligent and can describe why they don't like something or why they do like something. So I just hope that whoever's critiquing my work is intelligent and and can tell me why they don't like it. That's
Right.
Yeah. If I see somebody else like my classmates' work, and if I don't like it, I like being that's kind of a dumb thing to say. I like being honest with people, like even if it means like not agreeing with them. I don't really like being a yes man.
Mhm.
But if I don't like something, I gotta back it up. I can't just say I don't like this, period. I gotta explain myself.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you create your tracks?
I use GarageBand,
Okay.
digital
All right.
audio workstation. Yeah.
Do you just kind of plug in wave files or you actually play instruments?
Uh, I actually play the instruments. Like,
Okay. All
uh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. You just plug that in the MIDI. Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I love GarageBand, man. It's not as sophisticated as FL Studios or Pro Tools or anything like that, but I like GarageBand. How long have you been playing with it?
Almost 10 years. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I started this in like 2013. Um, I like it because I can bring this anywhere. Like, because I have ideas of songs all the time, and I don't have access to my computer all the time. But I've got this. It works out. I know it's not the most technically capable. Sometimes it does crash, but for the most part, it gets what I want. It does what I want it to do, or at least it makes the songs that I want to hear. Um, for the most part, I'd say like 90% of my ideas are feasible in GarageBand. Yeah.
So tell me about I Want to Fly, man. I'm guessing you kind of convinced your brother to get in.
Yep, I did. Um, that was shot right during the beginning of COVID, uh, in like May of 2020. I used to be in a poetry club, and that was a poem that I wrote one day, and I thought it was good enough to turn into like a film. It was conceptual. It told a story. It was fun. It had like a beginning, middle, and end. Um, so I made the song for it. I decided the cadence, and then I got my brother to play along with it. We recorded him. Uh, yeah, and we just shot it at my house. Um,
So looking back at it now, how do you feel about it?
it still works the way I want it to. I mean, of course, the green screen isn't perfect,
Hmm.
but everything else is like the way I want. Um,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Is that how you rate yourself? I guess is like after a project is completed, you just say, okay, well, this is kind of the vision that I had, so I'm satisfied with it.
I don't think I've had enough experience to know, because um, I do like thinking in pictures, but there are a lot of blind spots in the recent films I've made. Like I can't watch the whole movie from start to finish. I'm trying to. That's like a goal of mine. It's like see the whole movie before it's watched, like the shot sizes, where the cuts happen, like really specific. Um, but there are moments in I Wanna Fly that like I knew I wanted, like the shot of Jerry on his roof and that angle, like that was like in my mind. Um, what else? Oh, the shot of him on the plane, like that was in my mind already. And we see him from outside the plane. Uh,
How'd you shoot that, by the way? Like everything was green screen?
not every. Oh, the plane was green screen, and all the shots of him on the roof are
Okay.
green screen.
Right. But when he was in the plane, so you did it in some type of After Effects or something like that?
I hired an outside editor to do that one shot.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was pretty good actually.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Okay.
agree. Great.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of advice would you give somebody that's just thinking about going to film school? You know, is that worth it? And then also thinking about getting into the filmmaking career.
This is an interesting question because I graduate film school next week, and being a film.
Congratulations, man.
Thank
Congratulations.
you, thank you, thank you. But advice to somebody who's just now starting. Um, huh. Well, I'm gonna assume they're a directing student. Try and get to know every department, because if you can speak every department's language, you will have much easier time getting what you want in your film. Because if something's not right in your shot, you need to communicate like how to fix it. And that could be something like, I want a 16 mm lens. Like, you want a different lens size, or you want the lighting to be different. You want to adjust the lighting settings by X amount. Can you turn the light like down? Like, uh, I'm not good with terms with lighting, but I don't know, like down like 5 blanks. I don't know. Sorry. See,
Yeah, no, I got
if
you.
I
I
knew,
got
it
you.
would be really good. Um, yeah, my advice is do the whole thing. Like practice writing, editing, and get as much practice as you can. Learning by doing is like the best you can do.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Theory is also very important,
Hmm.
um, but I do think you can get most of the theory acquired online. Um, I mean, I took a lot of visual storytelling classes that helped me a lot with like, visual symbolism, but I also learned a lot online. But the most valuable thing you can do in film school is make films. You have the equipment, you have the people. Um, so take advantage of those things, please. All these people, like, I'm guessing, like, if you're going to film school, you're not surrounded by filmmakers, and you need a lot of filmmakers to make a film. So here's your opportunity: make friends with people.
Have you dabbled in acting at all?
Oh yeah, I love acting.
Do you? Okay. All right. What do you like about that?
Uh, Line memorization and the inflection on my words is really interesting. Like, we did an exercise one time in an acting class where we only had one line of dialogue, and we had to communicate like a whole conversation while only saying these few words. Like, I think my line was, "I can't find my phone," and somebody came up to me and said their line, like offered me something, and I was like, "I can't find my phone. Like, I can't blank my blank." Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I yeah, I love nailing emotions. Um, it's tough, but I also like using my voice. Memorizing lines is fun, and like forgetting it's a script and delivering the lines as if I'm in the situation. Um, I just like making good art. I think that's why when I'm writing a script, I do think I'm writing it from an acting perspective. Like I give
Mhm.
directions of movement, um, or any action. Um, huh. Yeah, I try not to be. I definitely try and not be super flowery with the details. Like there's a red cabinet. I mean, if I see it in my head, I'll probably include it.
Yeah.
Um, uh, that's a good question. I mean, I guess I'm not writing specifically for the actor. It's definitely to help the actor understand what I want them to do.
Yeah.
But it does it does reach out to people like set design, what people like letting them know like what the environment looks like.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess it could also be enjoyed as like a novel. Somebody could read it and see it in their
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.